here in Edmonton. Miro. Oh, yeah, he's got to adjust it for his extreme height. And he can tell you about his experience in Montreal earlier this week.
I'd like to thank the organizers for giving me the chance to speak about my experiences in Quebec. I was there for 12 days. I walked over 400 kilometers. I took part in 30 protests in those 12 days. I went there with several Edmontonians. My main thing was I went there to be in solidarity with the students, and I support what students are fighting for. My first big notion was when I was in Quebec, I saw the Billy Club arm of the state in action. The elites basically in Quebec have declared war on students. The students have responded by refusing to bend to the desires of the elites. Striking students in Montreal and all over Quebec are saying no to the use of the education system as a means to enslave them through debt. One of the most unnerving experiences I've had in Canada was the scenes I saw in Quebec. The state has used physical force on more than one occasion. So far, the students have been intimidated by police sirens, tear gas, flash grenades, and various other forms of dispersal. I myself almost had a rubber bullet hit me when I was there. Police using their authority the police are basically using the situation to be police, judge, and executioner at the same time. All attempts to stop the protests through this tyranny have failed. As a means of last resort, the Jean Charest government has decided to attack the liberties all Quebecers should enjoy. I am personally uneasy with the events taking place in Quebec. Democracy is being undermined and obstructed by the state. The Charest government is heavily arguing that for the sake of democracy, it must undermine the rights and privileges that citizens have. It is undermining the rights of citizens to take direct action, to protest, to take labor action, and it is violating many other rights at the same time. No sight for me was more unnerving than police harming the citizens, especially when they attack those not involved in the protest. They've attacked children, I've seen them attack people as young as 14, they've attacked pensioners, they've attacked tourists, they've attacked people just based on their skin color as well. Shame, shame. And honestly, my second point is that the Quebec students and the people in Quebec have responded to this tyranny by organizing and fighting back. Attempts to undermine the students have failed. What was once like a minority of students has become the majority. 94% of the students voted to reject the compromise that the Quebec government was trying to force upon them. One not only sees students and the young protesting, one sees parents, grandparents, children. They're professors. The professors are protesting with the students. They see, it's basically Quebecers of all colors, stripes, and persuasions. And even people from Alberta. There was at least like 10 of us who went that I met there. And also, like, in my young life, I have never seen such a group so large and diverse working together in solidarity. They are prevailing against the pain and the violence being inflicted against them by the state. Today, we should stand in solidarity with the struggle of the Quebecois masses. This also leads to my third point. An injury to one part of the movement in Quebec is an injury to all parts of the movement in Quebec. And one of the things that made me happiest in Quebec is that these actions by the Quebec government are failing spectacularly. Like, they're thinking of how they're going to act carefully in advance, and whenever they do, they fail. They introduced Bill 78, 30,000 came out, triple the number the previous night. They had the 400,000 person rally. It's failing, and I'm happy. And the Charest government is trying to win sympathy for its tyranny by declaring the protests illegal. It's not only declaring the protests illegal, it is trying to split the students into factions so that friend will fight against friend. It also tries to characterize the protesters as evil and to create division by demonizing certain tactics and certain groups. The public has been able to mobilize and quickly respond to such attempts at tyranny. We are witnessing the resistance of the working class. The people knows that the special law is an illegally imposed state of emergency. Clauses meant to deal with student protesters can easily be turned against anyone. It is an attack against all. The people are refusing to tolerate an injustice because they know that an injury to the students is an injury to all. To conclude, the images of police brutality should tell all Canadians that what is happening in Quebec is wrong. Yeah. The Red Square movement isn't just a student strike, it has become a more serious and broader issue. A threat to democracy, a threat to all our rights. It is a struggle against the degrading of the rights of Quebecers and of all Canadians. A humbling experience for me in Quebec was knowing that it is a struggle crossing divisional lines. It is something that crosses the French-English divide. I saw the Anglophones at the protests, I saw Quebecers, I saw immigrants at the protests. Our solidarity with Quebec shows that Canadians, French, English, and other can proudly stand against oppression side by side. I propose we support our friends, our brothers and sisters in Quebec. I propose we act in solidarity and that we foment and continue their struggle here. I also propose that any help that we can give them, we should give them. Because I know if the same thing was happening here, they'd be willing to help us.